All right, let's talk recruiting. Sam Spiegelman with Rivals, the On3 Network. His National Signing Day for the early signing period comes up tomorrow. So a lot of moving parts in the city of Baton Rouge with the LSU football program. He's here to help break some of it at least down. Sam, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, hon. How are you?
Doing the same. I understand. So look, obviously LSU's coaching staff is in flux right now. And there are no real assurances, as far as I'm aware of, that anyone is going to be back or that anyone is officially gone. So where does that put this high school group of players that is committed to LSU right now on the whole?
Well, LSU is sitting on the number 11 class in the country, and Frank Wilson and the current staff that have been there have not stopped recruiting, as you well know, and Lane Kiffin and his incoming staff have also hit the ground running recruiting. Now, those are two separate groups of people that perhaps will be working together in a few weeks. Some will be going in different directions. That is up to the man that just got hired to be LSU's new head coach and his general manager. Those are decisions way above my pay grade. But I think that LSU is still in line to sign its nucleus of top players. They have 90% of their class falls within the state of Louisiana, which is pretty typical for LSU. And of course, this year happens to be a fantastic group. This 2026 class has been much tight for several years. And, you know, some of the stalwarts like Lamar Brown, the number one player in the country, are expected to sign. You know, blue chip wide receiver Jabari Mack expected to sign. Some of these out-of-state commitments, you know, where they maybe have a yellow on their stop signal, maybe even a red. They might be exploring their options, but I expect the majority of in-state commitments to sign. Maybe not everyone. There's still some moving pieces going into Wednesday that need to be tied up, but I feel pretty solid that the majority of the current commits will be signed, that at least the staff wants. And for those that they're still waiting for, they're going to go full throttle till February hits.
It looks like wide receiver / tight end is a spot where there's going to be significant shakeup over the next 24 to 30 hours. Y'all have put in some flips from Ole Miss. Y'all have also looked at some of LSU's current commitments. Where can you catch us up on what that situation looks like with Lane Kiffin and maybe potentially a lot of his offensive staff coming with him?
Yeah, it looks like George McDonald is going to take over as LSU's new wide receiver coach. A big part of the recruiting and evaluation of wide receivers in Oxford, where we know that they've been very good, not only recruiting high school players, but also in the transfer portal. Ole Miss has turned out a lot of NFL talent at the position in the last couple of years. They're going to inherit a class that already, like I said, includes Jabari Mack, who is one of the top-ranked receivers in the country out of Destrehan. The class also features Kervin Johnson, who Frank Wilson flipped a day after Brian Kelly got fired. They also have Kenny Darby in the class. There is some smoke about Kenny Darby as signing day approaches. He is someone who has been a target for Cortez Hankton. So it will be up to the staff to fully speak with Darby ahead of tomorrow. Right now, the plan is for Darby to sign. LSU also offered Braden Allen about 2 or 3 weeks ago. He returned to Oklahoma, and right now he has decommitted, and I expect him to sign with the Tigers tomorrow. He is going to announce his decision here in the next couple of days. This is LSU's race to lose with Braden Allen, who was an offer for Georgia McDonald and Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss a couple of months ago. He committed instead to the Sooners, and LSU would not stop quitting. We know that LSU signed his brother Jordan coming out of Lafayette Christian a couple of years ago. And let me give you another name, Corey Barber, one of the most explosive receivers in the country out of Alabama. I have a prediction for LSU to land him during the early signing period. He was one of George McDonald's favorite prospects in the class, decommitted from Ole Miss a couple of days ago. Washington and LSU have been battling this out. I like where LSU stands. And, of course, J.C. Anderson was committed to Ole Miss at tight ends. LSU was looking for a tight end in this class. Joe Cox is expected to join Lane Kiffin in Baton Rouge. I expect the 4-star tight end to follow suit.
It's a lot of moving parts, but doing a great job of keeping up with all of that. I know that Richard Anderson is one of the biggest pieces of this class. He said Sunday, I guess it was, it's Tuesday now, that he was reaffirming his commitment to LSU and expected to sign. And I know you've been very connected to what's going on with him. How do you feel about LSU's chances with one of its longest commitments of this class, if not the longest, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, Big Rich was the first
Yeah.
commitment for LSU in this 2026 class, and listen, if he signs on the dotted line this week, then it will be with LSU. I can say that there is some smoke in the air. Let's put the context out there. Big Rich made an official visit to Texas 2 weekends ago. Um, when I asked Big Rich how that visit went, he said, "Go Tigers." And I can tell you from the folks in Austin, there was still a strong sense that he would still end up in LSU's class. Of course, the catalyst will be Frank Wilson. Lane Kiffin has not named a running backs coach. We don't know whether Frank Wilson will be a part of the staff. Will he be in the front office? Where will he be, if in Baton Rouge at all? And that is the fact that we are waiting for. That will ultimately determine if and when Big Rich Anderson will sign, the five-star D lineman from Edna Carr from New Orleans. Of course, Frank Wilson has been point on this recruitment. Bryce Brown, the head coach of Edna Carr, is expected to be in Baton Rouge at some point this afternoon or evening. Of course, he is preparing to coach Carr in the state semifinals this week, but will make that trip up I-10 to speak with a new coach. Dialogue has continued from both sides. Like I said, if things go well, if Frank Wilson is going to be a part of the new regime at LSU, I think that Big Rich Anderson will follow. If not, he will wait till February to sign. LSU will be an option. I'd also expect Texas, USC, and potentially even Ole Miss, where Pete Golding is now the head coach, to be a factor if he does not sign this week.
Chatting with Sam Spiegelman with Rivals, the On3 Network. Awesome time to sign up if you're an LSU fan, because there are a lot of moving parts, and they do an incredible job over there with the Bengal Tiger On3. We chat with a bunch of those guys on this station every single week. So I'm curious your thoughts on Haven Finney. We understand how dynamic Corey Raymond is on the recruiting trail. We saw the first year of DJ Pickett this year. PJ Woodland also had a really nice year, and Haven Finney is as good as of a defensive back as there is in this class, has been committed to LSU. How do you feel about him?
You know, much like Big Rich Anderson and Frank Wilson, I have a similar feeling about Haven Finney and Corey Raymond. When Corey Raymond was in Gainesville, I would have expected Haven Finney to sign with the Gators and to play for Corey Raymond. And as soon as he got to Baton Rouge and reclassified, the plan was to follow Corey Raymond to LSU. And it was really never too much of a close race, despite being a West Coast kid. All indications I've gotten in the first couple of days, I know you just said it was Tuesday. It feels like it could be Friday. It could be Saturday of how long we've been tracking this. All signs point to Corey Raymond staying on the staff. We know the colossal mistake that Brian Kelly made when he went in a different direction than Corey Raymond, who many, credit for being the architect of DBU. And not only has he been an excellent recruiter, he has been the best evaluator in the secondary for the last 10 years in the state at secondary. And with Blake Baker likely to remain, I would imagine there's a lot of support in that building for Corey Raymond to stay put. Of course, he's a Louisiana native. If and when Corey Raymond is solidified, I would expect Haven Finney to follow suit. I know that Michigan has taken swings, but they've also flipped other cornerbacks away from Baylor, for instance. This is looking like Haven Finney to LSU, but of course, if Corey Raymond is not a part of the staff, I would expect the elite cornerback from the West Coast to explore his other options, likely wherever Corey Raymond heads.
And then more of a bigger picture question for you. And Sam, appreciate your time so much. Lane Kiffin's reputation as a recruiter and how you think he will manage the recruiting operation in Baton Rouge. How do you feel about that?
I've been thinking about this question for a while, because Brian Kelly, as we know, the personality didn't fit with administration. It didn't fit with coaches in the high school level, didn't fit with coaches at the college level, didn't fit with the recruits. Ed Orgeron was a whole different sort of cat, right? I mean, he was basically the mayor of Baton Rouge that also coached the football team and beloved to this day for delivering that national championship. But Lane Kiffin reminds me more of being in the Les Miles mold. He's got a quirkiness. He's got a unique sense of humor. He's active on social media, and he likes to take shots at his enemies in a joking but friendly fire sort of way. And I think with the fan base in Louisiana, fans of LSU who are expecting him to win, and I think he will have all the tools at his disposal to win. And then you factor in someone with a little bit of a personality. He is, he may not be from the South, but he spent a lot of time in the South and the Southeast. He's very familiar with LSU and what it means and what it stands for. I thought that came out pretty clear in his press conference yesterday. I think this is the kind of hire where LSU will match the performance of what the fans expect. Some of the other candidates mentioned, they might be great coaches. They might have fantastic track records. They might be able to assemble a fantastic group of coaches and recruiters and analysts and GMs. But it takes a certain personality to fit in Baton Rouge, in that state. And not only does it take the knowledge of the university, it takes the knowledge of the entire state and the culture of that place. It's very special, and it's unlike anywhere else in the country. That's coming from someone who's lived all over the country. Nothing compares to Louisiana and the love that these fans have for that team. So I think Lane Kiffin understands that, and that's all you could really ask for in a coach. I think we'll see how this coaching staff is sorted out, but I trust, based on his resume, he knows what it takes to win, and he's got the resources to make that all happen. He's got a fantastic lifelong Tiger in Verge Osbury helping him out as well, and so far Verge has knocked it out of the park.
Sam, I would tell you to get some sleep with the little one at home and what's coming in the next couple of days. That's really ambitious. So I'll just tell you to keep the pocket coffee pot fresh and enjoy the next couple of days if you can. Maybe sleep this weekend, all right?
Hey, that sounds like a plan, Hunt. I appreciate you, man.
He is Sam Spiegelman with Rivals and On3. You can check out their services. They do a phenomenal job, and there are quite literally updates coming every few minutes over on their message board over at the Bengal Tiger. So go check that out. They're doing really well, and we appreciate Sam for giving us a little bit of time. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.